Hello and welcome to my very first Android video. This will be a series where I'm gonna code a project and hopefully it will turn out to be an endless running game, like Temple Run or something like that. I'm kinda new to game programming, so I don't know really how to do it, but I'm gonna try and hopefully succeed. Hopefully both you and me will learn something from this. So let's get started. I have created 4 class files. One is endless running game activity. It's the one that launches my other activity called GameView, which is gonna handle everything, create the sprites and players, and redraw everything. I also have the game loop thread, which is gonna update all my updated screen by in a FPS of 30. And I have the player Java. This is the player class that contains everything that is needed for the player, for example gravity, jump speed, etc. And collisions will be handled later. So we jump into the game view and I'm gonna tell you a little bit of what I have done. I've created a game loop thread, so it will run. I've created a get holder. I'm not really sure what that means, but yeah. Call a public void surface destroyed, surface created. This is what happens when the game starts and the surface creates. And then I set the game loop thread to running and it starts it. The game immediately starts to run. Later I have a override method, project protect void on draw. This is the method where everything's gonna get drawn, the player and all the blocks that will come later. Now in the game loop thread, I'm not really sure how all this works, but the static final long FPS is gonna define the FPS of the game, frames per second, how fast the screen redraws everything. Usually games have around 60 FPS, but we're gonna go with 30. We initiate the game loop thread by game viewing view, list.view equals view, and when the void set running is calling, it's gonna start the thread. And here is where everything runs. See, it tries to get a holder. If it does, it's gonna draw the screen. And then it's gonna do something. It's gonna set a new time and it's gonna go over and over and over and over. Here we have the player class. I haven't really done much yet, but we have 2 variables, 4 actually, x, y. You have a bitmap EMP, a game view. And when we create the player, the public void, I think it's called, is gonna call for game view, a variable game view, a bitmap, an x value, and then y value, which we're gonna call when we create the player. And here it just sets everything to what we're gonna type in when we create it. And in an onDraw method, it simply draws the bitmap with the x and y coordinates. This is the method that we're gonna call in GameView later to draw the player. Now we're gonna create a new void called update. This is gonna handle every step event that, for example, gravity and etc. It's gonna update the position of the player before we draw the player. We're gonna create another variable, check round. This is gonna handle our gravity. We're gonna create a new variable called gravity, which is gonna define the type of how fast the player is gonna fall. And we're gonna create another called v-speed. The v-speed variable is how much the y value will change. And we're gonna add that. Never mind. First of all, we're gonna type y plus I equals v-speed, which means that if v-speed is more than 0, the position will change, or if it's less than 0, the position will also change. And now we're gonna check if our y value equals more than the canvas that game view that get height, which means the border of the screen furthest down. Minus 64. That's just where we're gonna say that the ground is gonna be later. And minus bmp.getHeight. That means that if our player is located more than the height of the screen, minus 64 minus its own height, something's gonna happen and we're gonna set the gravity to 0. Of the bitmap height and weight. Okay, v-speed plus equals gravity is gonna make sure that our vertical speed accelerates every time there is no ground. And if we are above that y_game_view.getHeight, etc., we're gonna set v-speed to 0 and the gravity will stop. Here we have another void we're gonna call onTouch. Is gonna check if what happens when we touch the screen. We're gonna call a if statement if y is less than or equals to GameView.getHeight minus 64. And that is the position that we get when we fall to the ground. We're just gonna make sure that we actually fall to the correct place by changing if v-speed is not equal to 0, we're gonna change the y value to GameView.getHeight minus player height. It's just gonna make sure that we actually will be able to jump, so we are in the correct position. And here we're gonna change the v-speed value to a negative value. This is gonna make the player jump. That was all for this video. In the next video we will create a player sprite and we will actually create the player and run the game. If you liked the video, please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you have any suggestions to the videos, please leave a comment. Feedback is always welcome.